Two people pull up to the same hotel entrance. One steps out of a car that cost $105,000. The other steps out of a car that cost $460,000. Same category, same purpose. 4 doors, a rear seat, getting somewhere in comfort. But the doorman moves differently for one of them, and most people watching from the sidewalk have no idea why. So today, I'm breaking down 4 of the greatest luxury sedans on the market right now. The BMW i7, the Mercedes S-Class, the Bentley Flying Spur, and the Rolls-Royce Phantom. Not by spec sheet, by what each one actually is, who it's actually built for, and which one genuinely wins the crown. This is the comparison most car reviewers get wrong because they judge all 4 by the same standard. Let's get into it. The BMW i7. This is where the conversation starts, and this is the car that confuses people the most. Starts around $105,000. The xDrive 60 produces 536 horsepower from a fully electric dual-motor setup. 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. The M70 xDrive pushes that to 650 horsepower and 3.5 seconds flat. In a full-size luxury sedan, those are serious numbers. Here is what BMW does not put in the brochure. The i7 is the most technically advanced car in this entire comparison. A 31.3-inch rear theatre screen, automated rear window blinds, individual climate zones, and a suspension system that reads the road surface 60 times per second and adjusts before the wheel even reaches the imperfection. The engineering in this car would embarrass vehicles costing 3 times as much on paper. But here is the honest reality. The i7 is a BMW. It was designed by engineers who care deeply about how a car drives, and in this category, at this price, that is both its greatest strength and its quiet limitation. The i7 is the right choice for someone who wants to arrive in serious comfort and still feel the car communicating with them. If you are comparing it against the other 3 purely as a driver's car, it wins. If you are comparing it on presence, on what the car says when it stops, the conversation gets more complicated. Buy it used at around $80,000 and the value case becomes very difficult to argue against. The Mercedes S-Class. This is the car that invented the modern definition of this category, and that history is not decorative. Starts around $115,000. The S500 runs a 3.0-litre turbocharged inline-6 producing 429 horsepower. Step to the S580 and you get the 4.0-litre twin-turbo V8, 496 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds. The AMG S63 climbs past $175,000 and enters a different conversation entirely. Here is what most people do not know. The S-Class has been the most copied car in the automotive industry for 5 decades. Every safety technology, every comfort feature, every suspension innovation that is now standard across the entire industry, air suspension, collision pre-safe systems, active noise cancellation, was developed in the S-Class first, often a full decade before it appeared anywhere else. You are not simply buying a luxury car. You are buying the car that defined what luxury cars are supposed to be. The S-Class is the most democratic choice in this comparison. That is not an insult. It means the S-Class has to justify its price with technology, with engineering, with measurable refinement. It cannot rely purely on heritage or hand finishing, and because of that pressure, it is almost always the most capable vehicle in the room. The honest verdict: if you buy an S-Class and you actually use it hard, long drives, back-to-back trips, rear passengers who expect perfection, it will not disappoint you once. That is a difficult promise to make at this price. Mercedes makes it and keeps it. The Bentley Flying Spur. This is where the category shifts, not in what the car does, in what the car means. The Flying Spur starts around $220,000. The V8 produces 542 horsepower. The W12, a 12-cylinder engine in a W configuration built entirely at Bentley's factory in Crewe, England, produces 626 horsepower and gets this car to 60 miles per hour in 3.7 seconds. A full-size luxury sedan, 3.7 seconds. Let that sit for a moment. Here is what separates the Flying Spur from the previous 2. It is hand-built. Bentley employs craftspeople whose only job is stitching leather, matching wood veneers, and finishing surfaces that cost more to perfect than most cars cost to build entirely. The production time for a single Flying Spur is measured in months. You can specify the hide of the leather by the origin of the animal. You can specify the exact wood grain orientation across the full dashboard. The car is built around your preferences, not around a production schedule. This is also the entry point into a different kind of ownership culture. Flying Spur buyers are not chasing the best spec sheet. They are buying into a lineage that goes back to racing at Le Mans in the 1920s. That badge carries a very specific meaning to a very specific type of person, and that meaning is part of the transaction whether the brochure acknowledges it or not. The Flying Spur is the first car on this list where luxury stops being a feature set and starts being a declaration of taste. The Rolls-Royce Phantom. This is the car that stopped competing a long time ago. Starts around $460,000. Most examples sell well above $550,000 once the bespoke program is engaged, and most buyers engage it. A 6.75-litre twin-turbocharged V12 producing 563 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 5.1 seconds. That is the slowest number in this comparison. It is also the least relevant. Here is what Rolls-Royce understands that no other brand in this comparison does. The Phantom was never designed for the driver. It was designed for the person in the back seat. The rear cabin is called the gallery. The dashboard is a sealed glass case housing a three-dimensional art installation that the owner either selects or commissions. The doors close with a pneumatic seal. The loudest sound inside the Phantom at highway speed is the clock. Rolls-Royce measured external road noise and then engineered against it, using over 130 kilograms of sound insulation. They did not reduce outside noise. They eliminated the concept of outside. The Phantom is not in the same competition as the other three cars on this list. Rolls-Royce knows this. They do not run comparison advertisements. They do not submit cars to group tests. The Phantom exists in a category it created and currently occupies alone. To buy a Phantom is not to choose the best luxury sedan. It is to exit the argument about which luxury sedan is best entirely. So here is the honest verdict. The BMW i7 is the most technologically accomplished car in this comparison. Buy it if the act of driving still matters to you, if efficiency and range matter, and if you want the future of this segment today at a price that still makes sense on a balance sheet. The Mercedes S-Class is the most complete car in this comparison. It has earned its reputation across 50 years of leading this segment. If you need one car to do everything at the highest level without compromise, the S-Class does not fail. The Bentley Flying Spur is where engineering meets craft. It is the first car on this list that is as much an object as it is a vehicle. Buy it when the spec sheet stops being enough, and you want something that reflects your specific taste, not a factory's version of taste. The Rolls-Royce Phantom is not a car you buy because it is better. It is a car you buy because you have decided that better is no longer the question. At this level, the product is not transportation. The product is confirmation of position. The biggest mistake people make when comparing these four is treating them as direct competitors. They are not. They are four different answers to four different questions. The only wrong move is buying the answer to a question you were never asking. If this was useful, subscribe. I break down cars the way they actually work, not the way the brochure describes them. See you in the next one.